Hello humans. For quite a while now, while No Man's Sky's popularity has been growing, like a runaway snowball rolling down Mount Everest, and while they have been addressing and fixing so many of the original issues that people complained about in those dark days of No Man's Sky's launch, a new worrying issue in the game has snuck in, almost unnoticed. It is an issue akin to high cholesterol. It keeps getting brought to your attention, but you keep brushing it off, not wanting to give up the hope that things are fine, will be fine, that this game is incredible, but if you ignore it for too long, you will soon begin to suffer. It gets to the point where the effects become devastating. Before I go into detail about the problem, here's a few disclaimers. The first is that I am one of those players who loved the game since the start. It's almost obligatory to say that nowadays. I had no complaints about it back then, and it truly was my dream game. I'm one of those gamer types who this game was made for. If you click the card on the screen right now, you can see a deep praise I gave the game back at the time, trying my best to explain what I thought it was all about and why it was doing that perfectly. In fact, it might actually be useful to watch that video before watching this one because it will help put everything into context. And please realise that it really is actually a big deal for me to be criticising this game. In fact, any game. I'm just not that kind of person, and you won't find any videos on my channel that do that sort of thing. And if the guys at Hello Games ever do happen to end up watching this video, I just want you to know that I have nothing but tremendous respect and gratitude for what you've done and for what you're continuing to do. And there's nothing here that's personal. It's just an issue that needs to be spoken out and brought to your attention as something that we feel very strongly about. Another important disclaimer is that I know that this complaint doesn't bother everyone. It might not even bother most people, although I hope by the end of the video I can at least get even those people admitting that this is a problem to some significant degree. I will explain the problem, then I'll try to demonstrate what is possible to do with colours, as the possibilities are, to put it mildly, shocking. Then I'll try to offer some solutions. Simply put, there aren't enough colours used in No Man's Sky. This has always been the case to some extent, but since Next, with only a couple of minor improvements since then, it is at its worst, with the fewest being used for things like the daytime sky, the haze, the sunsets, the landscape, the flora and fauna, the water. To go into a bit more detail, it seems like Hello Games have opted to bring the randomness of the game under control, limiting the colours possible, as well as making some colours more common and some rarer. This is part of a wider problem where they are limiting the randomness in general in order to have a more structured game and allow for a rarity implementation of discoveries. In terms of structure, for example, they have always limited certain flora types to specific biomes, but they have increased this limiting even more since around Next. For rarity, well, they have locked away certain planet colours as rare, and you are less likely to find them. This isn't 100% just a problem. These are actually good ideas, but they do lead to an annoying problem and an inevitable criticism that enforced limiting of variety causes. There isn't enough variety. Consider the fact that humans can supposedly distinguish millions of colours, and then add to that the way different combinations of colours each has its own visual experience and impact, and that the game is only using a handful, even though it's a game with quintillions of planets. You get the problem. Take skies for example. I want to focus on skies, which are the most obvious and perhaps most important fingerprint of a planet. They used to have a lot more variety, and each planet used to have a unique sunset. It was at its best arguably at the time of the Atlas Rises update, but it was incredible right from the release. I don't have any hard data, it's hard to come by, but it seems that the colours were put through the procedural engine and it was possible to end up with thousands of more combinations. Around the time of Next and beyond though, it seems like there are only about half a dozen colours the daytime sky can be. Blue, red, yellow, purple, turquoise, orange, maybe a couple of others. And all sunsets are the same. All sunsets on all planets are the same. This is a huge limit to the variety of what we can experience as explorers. Not only that, but there seems to be a great dulling of the colours, making everything much more bland, almost muddy. Secondary effects like colour, temperature and lighting are hiding the colours. Try turning on your flashlight. So what happened? How did it get so bad? Has the Atlas awoken from its dream? Is the world fading? It seems incredulous that this was a design decision, but from what's been speculated based on various interviews and inferences, the implication is that it's been limited because of an internal battle at Hello Games between the artists and the others, and the artists won. And it's been stated that they don't want to make the role of artist redundant, and that the sky colours have been artistically designed and not left to any kind of procedural random number generator. In some sense, I like that. It's nice. I almost feel guilty for complaining now. So let's go with that. But I will say that if I somehow had the final say, I would have put the quality of the game paramount and never would have reined in the colours to such an extent. Colour plays too important a role in providing variety to the quintillions of planets, and is vital to giving each planet a uniqueness and feel of its own. If No Man's Sky isn't about that, then it's not about anything. So the suggested fix is to take the following ideas into account by dedicating a whole amount of dev time to working on adding to the variety of colours available. These are some things that can be tried. 1. Take some inspiration from art that expertly uses colours to create amazing combinations that the viewer feels are unique and awesome. After all, that's exactly in line with the experience that Hello Games are trying to give the player. Here are some examples. A good place to start getting inspiration for what can be done with colours is fantasy art. The artists that make these things are geniuses, especially with colour, and just looking at these pictures here, you'll see what I mean. They do things with colours that nobody else does, and it just demonstrates what can be done. Another place to get inspiration and to demonstrate the point, believe it or not, is a Twitter bot called Colour Schemes. Every hour of every day, it tweets out a new picture, which is a combination of 3 random colours. And obviously not all of them work, but you'll start to get the feel that there is so much you can do with colour. Infinite amounts you can do with colour. Just 3 colours and you can create a brand new scene every single time. Every single day, every single hour, a new picture, and no 2 are the same. And each one creates a totally brand new mood. And imagine that the planets in No Man's Sky had this much variety. So if I could ask Hello Games to do one thing, add lots and lots of colours. The next suggestion, make more use of colour combinations. Have a sky that is one colour at the horizon and blended to another at the top. Bring back unique sunsets, or at least add a huge variety. Did you know that on Mars the sunset is blue? Two-tone grass was once a thing. These are just some ideas where combinations can add richness to the game. Another thing that is really important is to invest time to mixing the colours with the procedural random number generator more. In the interest of supporting artistic creativity, there's no reason to say conditioning the procedural random number generator is not an artistic exercise, because it really is. This is also where making sure particular harsh or visually impairing colours and combinations can be removed. Artistic decisions like what colours and combinations are quote-unquote not No Man's Sky can be ruled out, and weighting to colours that are key to No Man's Sky can be applied. But not too much limiting, please. No Man's Sky is about exploring the infinite, and variety is such a key to that. Reducing the number of colours goes against that core principle, even if it is in the name of art. It feels like it would be a way to honour and have high expectations of the artists if they are given a bigger task of create infinite colours in a way that is unique to No Man's Sky. Finally, don't be afraid of traditionally bad colours and combinations. Colours that make the scene dreary, or repugnant, or bizarre, or dark, they don't necessarily need to be avoided. Let us experience everything in No Man's Sky. Make them rarer, but don't rule them out. Not everything has to be pleasant. It just needs to arouse feelings of some kind. Give a planet a feel. What's wrong with landing on a scary planet, one that is so dull you wonder how anything could live there? Or a planet that has horrible combinations, like a perverse shade of red and green, and wonder the same thing. At the end of the day, it is hard to gauge how much this bothers people. Now that I've made my point, I will admit that it bothers me a lot. It's a massive thorn in my eye. As I mentioned, the game already suffered from the inevitable lack of variety, due to the animals, planets, plants, and geology showing recognizable patterns after only a few hours of play. But colour was the one thing that didn't need to be limited, and it can make such a huge difference to how each planet feels. It has turned the game into a find that colour game. People will now be in a position where they say, out of the 8 sky colours, red is my favourite, and for flora colours, it's green, and I like blue water, so I'm going to go and look for a planet that has those colours and build a base on it. It stopped the game from feeling like it has quintillions of planets, and that you never know what you're going to find, and every day you're going to find something totally new. At least in one way, in terms of the colour. But now it feels like you've got a few dozen planets that you cycle through in no particular order over and over. It's quite frankly ruined exploration. However, NMS Reddit is full of extremely happy people who love the game, and I'm sure a large part of them are those who haven't noticed this yet. Not all, some seem genuinely happy to have finally found a blue-green planet like Earth and are going to build a base there. But like I compared it to cholesterol, the more you ignore it, the bigger the problem it becomes. Exploration will eventually die for you. You'll come back and do it because you love the game, but it really will start to get to you. You won't be able to spend more than a minute or 2 on each planet, hoping beyond hope that you are wrong, and the next one will have an amazing sky colour, and a feel and a tone that you've never felt before. But it won't happen. It will hurt, and VR won't help either. Sometimes I wish Sean Murray had just politely put his foot down and told the artist that they've done incredible work on the flora, fauna, geology, and they should feel privileged and proud that they've worked on one of the most artistic and beautiful games in existence, and then not let them touch the colours until they were able to have a solid plan on how to keep them infinite. I also mentioned at the start that this is a worrying problem because it seems like it's here to stay. Beyond supposedly addressed the issue by adding a couple more colours, because people have kicked up a fuss about this on Reddit several times. But bringing the total number of colours above a dozen is still a long way from endless colours. Let's hope that they take this suggestion to heart, because so far this has been the one dream game for people like me who want to see endless, beautiful or grotesque, bizarre and alien planets and find totally new, unexpected places to soak in and let our hearts beat to the rhythm to. And I feel it's lost whatever claim it had on that. But as a side note, all being said, I have an idea for how to make a game that will generate procedural exploration, life and all, in such a way that the variety will be real and infinite. It could be scientifically plausible, realistic, and generate a genuine sense of never knowing what will be found next. It would be a massive undertaking though, so if any serious investors, Elon Musk, are watching this, please do be in touch. Other than that, if you guys recognise the problem here, please feel free to write a polite, and I mean it, a polite email to Hello Games, letting them know you missed the colours of old and would love to see much more colour variety in future. I love the game, it's my dream game. I want to dream again, so here's hoping. So long, humans.
To see what secrets they hold. Join me as I sail amongst the stars.